What is up, everybody? Chris and Bear here from Nord Games. It is June 8th. It's time for more design time, and we're playing around with the Random Trap Generator 2. You can see over there. If you want your own, go in the description of this video and download your own. And you can
go do it.
Play along at home.
Make your own traps.
Exactly.
Have fun.
So hopefully you've been watching along the whole series of these so that we don't have to explain too much. But basically, we're going to roll the dice and find a random trigger and random effect. We're going to combine them together and make a unique trap. So I'll go ahead and I'll roll the die. Let's go with mechanical. So we've got...
let's do you first.
Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. So 3. This one's interesting. This is fail to pick lock. Now, what's fascinating about fail to pick lock is that it's not the act of even picking the lock. It's if you fail to pick the lock is when this thing goes off. So a little bit different than your other, like we also have attempt to pick lock and succeed at picking lock, it triggers the trap. So in here, it says failing to attempt to pick a lock triggers the trap. So a skilled thief can open it cleanly while a clumsy or rushed one sets it off. That's pretty unique. So we've got 4 options for what is actually locked. What is it that is locked, and what are we trying to open up? So I got a 3. In this case, we've got restraints, maybe manacles, shackles, slave collar, prisoner's cage, padlock chain. Now, slave collar, I instantly go to Running Man from, what is it, the 1980s with Arnold Schwarzenegger. They had these collars on. And if you went past the perimeter or whatever in the prison, it exploded and your head went flying off. So I could see something like that.
It always reminds me of Battle Royale. Same thing. Very similar concept.
Exactly.
Essentially, was able to, it just blew up like right here.
Yeah.
Just took out your jugular and man.
So it could be something, maybe it doesn't explode, but like it somehow like something is deployed. Maybe little spikes are deployed and they're poisoned or something like that. That seems like
there's plenty of different ways.
Unfortunately, when it comes to what we do, there's a lot of morbid stuff we have to come up with.
I've thought about that too sometimes, especially when doing like this type of stuff, which is like trap making. You're usually trying to inflict harm or potentially even kill whoever this is.
But this one, the actual collar itself being the trap seems like an interesting way to go. And the sadistic part is it's the fail to pick trap. So it's kind of like rewarding someone who is skilled at picking the lock and getting someone out of the collar, but it's punishing someone who messes up their role. And there could be degrees to it. Like if you don't pick it correctly, one needle, goes into somebody and starts to fill them with poison, let's say. And then if you fail again, then another one does it. You could have it gets worse and worse over the turns. So that could be interesting.
To me, it just adds that like dramaticness, right? Like that, you have this thing around you and you can tamper with it, right? Like you definitely always can, but they tell you right off the bat, hey man, that thing's going to do X if you try to take it off. Right?
Exactly.
And you're like, okay. So then the only person who could take it off, when you get to them, they're like, okay, I can take that off for you. And you're like, I don't know, man. You better be able to
are you skilled enough to do this? Now, what's interesting is we sort of found the effect by talking about it, because in fact, the effect could be needle, which would be 21 or 22 over here. And let's just say we'll use needle as the effect. And in this case, needles come out of the collar and inject poison into the wearer. That's a pretty cool one. I mean, it's a trapped object in that case, which I like a lot. So that could totally work.
I like that. I like that a lot as well.
Let me make a note.
Yeah, it reminds me also of these handcuffs that go around your wrists, right? And then if they mess up, they take your hands off, essentially.
Again, it's so funny.
A lot of people don't want to lose their hand.
The morbid stuff that we come up with. I felt so bad.
The chef too, that it's from One Piece.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, the guy has these things around his. They're like bracelets kind of around his around his hands, and then it'll take them off. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Let's
Wrist.
see.
That is what I was looking for. Man,
Wrist.
you ever just like get caught up on a word and you're like, man, I just had it and it's gone, and now I'm struggling to try to figure, like, stumble back to the word. Okay, you know where it is. Like, I'm over here like grabbing my wrist, like, what is this? What are you? So funny.
So let's see. Slave collar. All right, I like that one. Well, it felt like earlier, talking about the morbid stuff, I felt so bad for Ralph when he was getting all the images for the Dreaded Accursed, because the source images he had to provide to the artists. He at one point was talking to me, was like, just the stuff that I have to, like, rotting flesh and stuff like that, and you wanted to get like good source material, and like, what does it look like when a zombie is decayed for a certain amount of time. There's a certain amount, like, you can just go to like The Walking Dead and stuff like that to find some pretty gnarly stuff, but then other stuff kind of want to see, like, what is like green flesh actually look like, and it's morbid, but it's important research.
It always comes down to like what you're aiming for, right? You're like, I want this like pustules to be in a certain way, and then you're like, now I gotta go look up what pustules look like truly, and I need to put those to my artists.
Not the pustules.
Yeah, when I was doing the Paragon, excuse me, when I was doing the Paragon stuff, like, some of the death domain things were like, oh man, I have to go look at some really terrible stuff. I'm gonna look at kittens.
Yeah,
something like that after this.
You have a refresher, like, just go look at something nice. Oh my god. All right, cool. So there's a mechanical trap. It's a trapped object, and by failing to pick the lock, you end up poisoning the wearer. So pretty cool. Nice. What is your fancy? Would you like a?
Let's just do 2D100s.
2D100s.
Let's go for it.
We got it. 32. So with a 32, we've got tapping or prodding. Okay. And the effect is a 42, which will be acid or slime blast.
Ooh, slime blast sounds crazy.
I like that. So
all right,
let's see.
We can go to tapping or prodding.
Tapping or
so
prodding.
A hollow flagstone, a loose stone wall or wall stone, a false seam, or a suspicious fixture. Interestingly enough, I like loose wall stone or hollowed flagstone are both really neat. During my last adventure that we were running, I had a lot of people checking walls for false things. And you could easily be like, oh yeah, you're going through, you find a loose stone, and then so they interact with it by tapping it or trying to like touch it, prod it, whatever it might be, to see if it fits back into place. And that's when the trap goes off.
Yeah.
Well, let's go with loose wallstone. Okay. I feel like it does come up quite a bit, and it is very, very good. A lot of people are interested in anything there's two camps, I feel like, of Dungeoneers. There's the camp of, I tell you that there's a loose wallstone, and the first thing that comes to your mind is we are interacting with that loose wallstone.
Let's play with it.
Second adventures we're never touching that whatsoever.
Yeah. Usually it's the older grognards who are like, no, don't even get close to that thing.
Well, yeah, or like, let's figure out stuff before we start messing with the loose wallstone. Yeah, it comes from experience of interacting with the loose wallstone and having a thing crush your character, or...
Yeah. So acid or slime blast is the effect. We've got, if you want to keep it mechanical, then it'll be caustic acid or flammable slime. If you want it to be magical, it could go with living ooze or cursed sludge. It sounds to me like the tapping or prodding being mechanical. Probably stick with mechanical if you want to do that.
I like that. Personally, a jet of corrosive acid that sprays from hidden nozzles or things like that, I like that. You go to mess with the stone, and like either above you or somewhere adjacent to the wall. Maybe this is in a corner, right? Like, so you have a wall to your left, it's in front of you, and you're messing with this thing, and then boop, and then you get it sprayed across your face. That's kind of,
making some notes here.
because it's one of those things. Acid is terrifying. I will say living ooze sounds really fun. I personally love oozes. They're one of my favorite creatures ever. And just putting more oozes out there in the world. Oozes are terrifying, right? You you push the thing back in, and then all of a sudden, like, this creature oozes out of the wall and next to you, and you're like, this is probably not good.
The whole like oozing through tiny little cracks in things, like under a door or a window or between the masonry or whatever, and then reconstituting on the other side. That's one of the coolest things about oozes in general and what they can do. I agree.
And I mean, from a standpoint of a trap, right? You're a summoner. I need to make this thing. I need to hide it. Oozes are pretty good for that. Like, whatever the summoning glyph or whatever it is that is actually creating this ooze, maybe it's trapped in a jar, maybe it's somehow encased and that gets broken. But yes, once it's freed or made, it can just go out, right? It can just seep down. Like, you press this flagstone in, and next you get a drip. And you're like, huh, what is this weird stuff? And you look up, and it's starting to form above you. It's like, oh, I don't like it. I don't like that. And we should get out of this room.
You also wonder too if an ooze is. This is going back to my very first adventure game, Zelda, for the NES. Sure. Hitting one of the, I forget what they're called, they're like a slime or whatever. You hit the big slime and it turns into two small slimes. If you were to, I don't know, like put the slime or ooze or whatever through like some sort of sieve and it made thousands of little teeny tiny versions of itself, are they all sentient and could they all act independently and then they form together to make a bigger one back to the original? Are they all, in other words, are they all capable of sentient thought and action independently if they are separated? And I think that would be one of the coolest encounters to have, where it starts out as like some massive ooze, and through the course of the adventure you guys are avoiding it and running away from it because there's nothing you could do to it. But as it sort of like makes smaller versions of itself to come after you, it like the whole every monster in the dungeon could be the ooze, but just in different forms. So they could sort of pull off a part of themselves and shape it into a slightly different form, and it becomes a soldier ooze or whatever. And then anyway, enough of oozes.
What you said about like the tiny ones always reminds me of hunters from like Halo, where they're actually a bunch of different organisms together to make this big crazy looking thing. You could definitely do something like that. It's a bunch of tiny oozes that can band together to make things.
I like it. Neat. Let's go ahead and we'll do a D20 on the magical side of things here. So with a 10 we get insult idol. That's interesting. And then what happens if we insult the idol? We get transmutation. All right, this is gonna be cool.
Ooh, I like that.
Insult
this is already fun.
So how can you insult an idol? Let's see, where are we at? Ambiguous triggers, magic triggers, insult idol. So doing something insulting or disrespectful to a deity or otherworldly being while in the presence of an effigy or representation of it triggers the trap. So you could desecrate it, blaspheme in front of it, ignoring it. That one's kind of cool. Just ignoring it or failing to present an offering. So the options we have are desecration, blasphemy, neglect, or forbidden act. I kind of think rewarding knowledge by having neglected right be the option for this.
I was going to say, I think to me that's the easiest one for this to trigger. I weirdly enough, some players, especially if like they know about like dwarves don't like elves, right? Right? Things like that. I've had players play dwarves and then I'm telling them this is an elvish thing and they go over and they start like messing with it and things like that. So I could see desecration. I definitely can see a lot of these still working, but personally, the fact that you come into this room, there's clearly some sort of rite you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to do this sort of ritual or offering, and none of you know how to do it. and then the cleric rolls his religion, and all of a sudden is like, okay, well, I know how to do it. Because that's a nice thing for you as a DM to use as a countermeasure, right? You're like, okay, everyone, can you all give me a religion check? Of course, whoever is proficient will do the best.
Well, and it actually says in here, so with all with a lot of the triggers and stuff in this book, if it's not sort of the default of perception, then it will offer additional ones. Like in this case, it says a successful wisdom, perception check, intelligence, arcana, or religion check, or casting detect magic reveals the nature of the trigger. Another successful intelligence, arcana check, or successful dispel magic, casting idol disables it. So performing specific rites is the other way, you could do it. So that's how you could get past this thing. So but I like the idea of the insult idol leads to transmutation. So now let's see what transmutation options we may have. So transmutation, when the trap is triggered, it unleashes magic that turns one thing into another. Transmutation effects may include forced polymorph, diminished form, object transformation, or altered surroundings. So these all present an interesting opportunity here. The first thing I thought was, if you don't give the offering, then everyone rolls maybe it's a con save or a wisdom save or something like that, and or they're turned into pigs, like the classic from Willow. I love that scene. You're all pigs, and so the whole army turns into pigs. So that's one way we could do it. So that would be forced polymorph if we want to do that. Diminished form could also be interesting, especially if this is sort of think about the theme of the dungeon and or the area, where maybe it's intended to diminish form so that the goblins can come in and grab you or something like that. Make everyone shrink to be tiny, and then their intention is then to capture you. Keeping in mind that we actually have a section talking about what is the purpose of the trap. And those include things like subdue or harm or block, stuff like that. So this might be intended to subdue anybody who doesn't know about the rites that you're supposed to perform in front of the statue. And so that could be really cool.
To me, also, the statue itself for this one, personally, like whatever you decided to go with would help theme what the transmutation would be, right? Exactly. So it's like, oh, this is just some crazy eldritch god. Like maybe it's going to do something way crazier to the surroundings around it versus this is like a nature god or something like that that's going to turn you to animals, right? Weirdly enough, I really like altered surroundings. I was looking at that, I'm like, what if the floor just slowly started turning into lava?
So turning into lava or quicksand
forced you to like towards the altar slowly but surely. So you like it starts from the edges or things like that, and you're trying to figure out. You're like, what do we need to offer it? What do we need to do?
It could be. It could get even weirder too. Where because we're dealing with magic here, but what if the floor loses its solidity and you actually start to sink into the floor like it's quicksand, and then you fall to the level below? If you're in it for long enough, that would be very interesting.
Weirdly enough, another one, the very first thing that popped in my head is the whole room goes into a different plane or existence, essentially. So all of a sudden you find your guys' self like in the open field of this giant, like volcanoes are going off and there's all this crazy stuff around. You're like, we weren't just here, but you are still in that room. It just doesn't feel like you're in that room anymore because it altered your surroundings completely.
And maybe it's more of an illusion than anything else.
Exactly. More of an illusion or things like that.
That's very cool. There you go. So that's a cool one. We got notes on that one. Going back to the top, let's do one more. And this time you want to do the D100 again?
No, let's do ambiguous for both.
Okay. So we'll just roll a D10.
Yeah, two D10s.
We'll go 9. Use wrong key. And the result is animated object. That's pretty cool. All right.
So the door comes alive. Got it. That's
Well, there's lots of different things that a key can go into. So
no, that's true. Doesn't have to just be a door.
Yeah. Let's see. Magical triggers. Use wrong key. Where is use wrong key? Oh, I'm in the. Let's see.
Yeah, you're probably not in ambiguous.
Why not magic? Oh, I was in magic.
Mismatch cut, wrong rotation,
use wrong key,
unattuned key, or false key sigil are the four you can choose from.
Yeah, so these being ambiguous, do you want magical or mechanical?
I think, let's see. What was the thing we got was animated object.
Yeah.
So to me, the thing that makes the most sense would probably be to magical.
Okay.
You could definitely do like I turn the key wrong and that then like activates a sigil, or this is not the correct key for this, but it's cut in such a way that it turns the part that activates a sigil, or whatever summoning spell or things like that to animate these things. But to me, yeah, sticking with magical, I think works pretty well.
Okay. So unattuned key, let's say.
Yeah, I like unattuned key.
The triggers in the trap. When it open with the key that is not been properly attuned or blessed, even if its shape is correct. So that would be cool. And then the where is?
Then it goes to animated objects.
There it is, animated object. And animated objects could be clockwork. They could be mechanized in some way. But if we stick with the magical, we've got animated statuary, enchanted furnishings. So if we did go with the animated statuary, it could be something like, the key that you use to maybe there's a whole hall of suits of armor, animated armor, suits of armor that can turn into animated armor when you go to unlock the chest. Oh, sure. There could be a chest there. There could be there could be lots of different things that you're unlocking, but you're not using a key that's been magically enchanted. So it's almost like you've got the right key, but you didn't go through the right steps to, maybe there's something in that room that you have to do. Some sort of blessing that has to happen. Now, keep in mind, not all traps are created by villains.
True.
Some traps are created by, like good guys and gals who are just trying to protect stuff and, keep rogues and stuff like that out. So, this could be something that you put into the Great Hall of Kings or whatever, and by using using the key that hasn't been properly attuned or enchanted in some way, could then activate all of the statuary, and now you've got a D12 animated armors coming after you or whatever. So
I like that, because I keep picturing you. There's different directions you could go. Like, these things are designed to protect this door, right? So activating the door incorrectly causes these sentries to come and basically just protect the door, because now they know you're not the right person.
Exactly.
Right? They're not going to kill you. They're just going to make sure that you do not get a chance to go through that door anymore.
Yeah.
I like that. That definitely is neat.
Yeah, it creates an interesting challenge.
To me, the thing that you can let your players know is, especially, like, it's a magical object you're about to interact with. You have a mundane key that you're trying to put into a magically blocked door. Are you sure that you just want to put the non-magic key in the magic object? That's probably
sure?
What I would end up like. I wouldn't specifically say, "Are you sure?" It's one of those things where I always love, like, DMs that have tells. Sometimes you can be like, "Really? And you're like, oh, that wasn't the answer, everyone. We're not going to do the thing that I just said because of the reaction I just got from the DM.
I've accidentally given away
this is a bad idea.
I've given away a few times, but the thing about it I've learned over the years is to try to just have that poker face on, like, okay, and okay, you keep one tone the whole time. You just keep on, okay, and you do that thing, okay.
I've gotten really good at being like, oh, Yes.
Roll,
like all by all means.
Roll a dexterity saving throw.
People, when I get excited,
yeah.
I get excited about all of it. So
yeah.
like after a while, you just get used to it. But it's like, oh no, wait, he's happy that we're about to
do. I'm
like,
they don't know
solving the puzzle, dude. I'm so excited.
They don't know what danger they're in. They had no idea.
Yeah, it is so funny. Being overly excited about anything as a DM, sometimes people are instantly like, "Oh, we're doing this some way that we're not supposed to," or that
like, why is he so happy?
Why is he so happy? Why is he so happy that we entered this room?
We're about to die, you guys. Well, yeah, but the whole point is to have fun and to enjoy the process and enjoy the adventure, and hopefully
100%.
challenge the players and keep them ever on the verge of death. I think it's very exciting that way, but to ultimately let each player sort of stand out with that moment where it's like, oh, we were about to die, and then so and so did that thing and then got us out or whatever. Those are the moments that I really like around the table, because everyone gets a chance to shine. So I love that. Well, there you go. There's 4 cool traps. Those will get added to the book. We don't know what level and lethality they'll be yet, but we'll add them in, and it'll make sense wherever they do go in. You can also very easily modify any of these traps. Let's say you find a trap that you like and you're like, what? But it's for way too high of a level. You just change how much damage it does and change the DC. Very, very easy to modify pretty much any trap.
Personally, I think it just comes with experience as a DM. You get quite good at having to, on the fly, all right, well, it just depends on the DMing style. Actually, there was a bunch of discourse recently about like hard stuck rules versus like changing things on the fly. Some DMs absolutely love like, oh no, you activate the trap and I'm rolling everything exactly how it's supposed to, and you are clearly dead. Some DMs are like, oh, I rolled the damage, and I'm gonna tell you that you're taking some damage here, but you'll be okay.
Yeah, I try as much as possible just to make it fun and cinematic. So whatever they're getting up to, just try to have a cool experience for everybody, no matter what. Even if they die, they at least they went out in a blaze of glory. But very rarely do I actually end up killing a player.
Yeah, my biggest, set expectations before you start, right? Talk with your players, figure out how they want the adventure to go. If you're playing with a hardcore group that's like, yeah, please, by all means, don't pull punches, try to kill us, we're going to roll a bunch of characters. Those people will want a different game than everyone's like, no, I really do love my bard, and if he dies, I will probably stop playing, so please do not kill my bard.
The other thing is, sometimes you just got to say, hey, if you bring a character from a different game and stuff like that, they're kind of in a dream with all these other characters. So like whatever happens to them in the dream, don't worry about it. Don't get too serious.
Sure. Like if you're at like a con game and you brought your character from home or whatever.
It's part of why I make pre-gens for all my con games. That way they've got some buy-in, because I always include some connection to the story for that pre-gen and some connection to each other with all the other party members. Like, why am I with this party? But that way they've got enough to be interested and have stakes in the adventure. But if they die, they die, and they had a good time. I definitely won't kill anybody in the first half of the adventure, unless it was like preordained, like the dice were literally like, nope, screw this guy in particular. But I try really hard to make sure that people have a fun time, and I have never thought that like getting totally beat up and chewed up and spit out is like, that's not that much fun. What I want is a challenge. I want to learn stuff as I go.
Well, weirdly enough, I really do love those, I will say, but you have to just, playing a system or the session has to be kind of about that, right? I've played plenty of grinders or like funnels and things like that where you're all level zeros and you're just going into these places to die, essentially. But you have like 5 characters, right? So as long as one of them somehow makes it out or lasts long enough to get me deep enough in here. But yeah, no, when you just got your one guy and you go in the first 2 minutes of the dungeon, you fall into a trap, or you get beheaded by a minotaur or whatever it might be because you decided I'm going to be brave and stand and see what it was like. And it's like, no, it just instantly cuts you in half because you're a level 5 and this thing's like a level 17. Like you were supposed to run.
I was playing. It must have been first edition, and it was sort of modified first edition at a convention, and it was a massive group. There were about 20 players, and I was a fighter because I was just like, give me a simple character. You know, I can jump in, but I have to jump out pretty soon. And I had such little hit points and all that. I think I got 2 whacks in on some sort of golem came alive in the room, and then he just squashed me like a bug, and that was the end of my character. I was like, all right.
Yep.
I guess so.
Yeah, I'll never forget my very first stream session for like back in the day when we had a stream campaign. One of my players got backstabbed, and they were the wizard with 4 HP, and instantly were going to die. But luckily we worked it out.
Yeah. Good adventures. All right, well, that's all we got for today. Hopefully you've already checked out the Treacherous Traps 2 Kickstarter campaign. Check out all the links in the description and all that stuff. There's lots and lots of cool stuff for you to do. If you'd like to download the Random Trap 2, it's Random Trap Generator 2. It has 45 pages of content and plenty for you to make thousands, tens of thousands, millions even of traps of your own, and you can even submit those to potentially go into the final version of the book. So look at all the links in the description below, and of course share links with your friends, because that's what it's all about, getting together with friends and having fun times. So that's it for me. That's it for Bear. Yeah, good. Okay,
catch you guys later.
Until next time, happy gaming, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.